Hi there. In a world where nothing is certain, that means anything is possible, right? If you want to fulfill your dreams and desires, you are in the right place. You absolutely can have a life of happiness. Everyone deserves an abundance of love, laughter, success, health, and wealth. I'm Tara Chadzakis, and you're listening to the Happy, Inspired, Motivated podcast. The show that brings you meditation, mindset, and motivation. So start by giving yourself permission to be awesome. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey there, and welcome to this episode of Happy, Inspired, and Motivated. I have two very special guests with me today, Barry and Laura Ash, and they are a husband and wife team, and they're on a mission to change the way we see the diet industry. So they tend to help lifelong learners who are sick and tired of the quick fix diet game, and they help them to understand their minds so they can control their bodies, and that leaves them with a happy and healthy lifestyle and body. And they have a tagline which is just do the do, and that's what they use. So they help them to get started and keep going through dieting. And this is through Laura, who is the master of the mind, as she spent most of her police service focusing on investigations and intelligence. And then Barry is the emotional energy expert who spent over 10 years in the prison service helping prisoners change their energy and reform. So I'm really excited to have them on the show today. We're going to get them on in just a minute. All right. Hi, guys, and welcome to the show. Today, I have with me Barry and Laura Ash, who are a husband and wife team, and they're on a mission to change the way we see the diet industry. So their passion is to empower people to create their own transformational version of health and well-being, the one that's right for them, and they do that through groups, one-to-one coaching, and mentoring. So, hi there, Barry and Laura. How are you today?
Yeah, we're really good. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us on your podcast. Really appreciate us coming on.
I'm so glad that you came. It's been ages since we chatted about this, so the day is actually finally here. It's been in the diary for a long time. It's so exciting. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are as a formidable, rock-solid team?
Do you want to go first, Bess?
Ladies first.
Thank you so much. So yes, we are Laura and Barry Ash. We are a husband and wife team. If you have not noticed, we've got the same last name. And Rock Solid has been up and running for about 7 years now. Just last month, actually, to be honest with you.
Happy anniversary.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we haven't always worked together, but we have been together as a couple in total for 19 years and married for 15. So it's not something that we set out to do when we got into a relationship. Yeah. It's kind of something that's just evolved, and we've gone with it basically.
Okay, wonderful. So do you work together in an actual physical gym, is that correct?
So 80% of our business is actually online. So we actually spend more time in the office opposite each other than we do in the gym. We have got our own private gym facility, which we built in the garden, which is quite comprehensive, and Baz takes sort of one-to-one PT in there, and we'll film videos in there for our membership coaching community that we have, but predominantly our business is online, and I love working online because we're able to reach so many people. We're so fortunate in being able to have clients all over the country and in the States as well. So for us, it's just amazing that we're able to reach people on a grander scale with the message that we have.
And how do you tend to work with people online then? You said you do memberships. What does that involve?
We have a coaching community, which is a group of people all with like-minded values, because, Values are really important.
Yeah, definitely.
And we basically help them to create their own version of health and well-being that's right for them. And we do that under our 6 pillars that we have. So the 6 pillars of health and well-being, we class them as sleep, we class them as water, food or nutrition, exercise, thought management, and me time. And what they're doing there is they're kind of ditching the blueprint of the old weight loss stuff of you've got to be on a plan, you've got to eat this amount, and you've got to do this exercise, and they're creating their own way. And I tell you what, Tara, we don't give them a meal plan. We don't give them a training plan. We literally just give them the 6 pillars and they run with it. And we have so many PTs and fitness professionals, contacts go, well, you don't give them a meal plan. You don't give them a training plan. Nope, nothing. We give them the tools to be able to create what's right for them so that it can fit into their lives. Yeah. It's fun to do. It's something they can do forever. And it's something they can do within the family community that we've created.
But that's so important, isn't it? Because if it's not fun, you're not going to do it. And if it's not something that you can incorporate into your life, it's just an uphill battle all the time. If everyone else is having food and you've got to weigh each grain of whatever you're having, and then you can't touch something else, and then you've got to do this, and it's a regime, you're just not going to stick to it, are you?
I mean,
the thing is, when you're given a plan, whether it's a training plan or a nutrition plan, the biggest focus for a lot of people is what they can't have. And when you start focusing on the things you can't have, things start getting really hard to do. And if something's really hard to do, what's the likelihood you're going to stick to it?
Yes. Zero.
And
yeah, exactly.
And we know that whatever you do on a consistent and persistent basis is what you're going to get good at. So this is where the 6 pillars comes from. Let's make something really sustainable for somebody to do forever. And then you only have to do health once then.
But don't get me wrong. There is a time and a place for weighing out food. There is a time and a place for that, to understand the value of food, I think.
Yes.
But the other one thing that we really kind of specialise in is helping our guys understand their mind and really acknowledging and creating awareness around some of these blocks and barriers that they have as to why they can't lose the weight. For example, a lot of people perhaps have gained weight because they've stopped taking care of themselves for whatever reason, and they've gone into a negative spiral. And really, losing weight, getting fit, getting healthy, looking after your well-being is simply a process of taking care of yourself. But if deep down inside of you, you don't like yourself or you don't think you're worth it, why would you ever do that? We also need to challenge your beliefs and values around what is food, what is nutrition, exercise. Most people hate exercise because they were taught to do it in their pants and plimsolls with everybody else, right? And that needs to be overcome as well.
Yeah.
So we need to look at a lot of these thoughts and feelings and stuff we're holding on to in the past to be able to release ourselves so that we can then go in and live this life of health and happiness.
Yeah, I mean, when you're at school, you all had to do the same exercises, and it's not, some people just aren't good at some things, are they? And they just get into their mind, my God, I'm going to hate it, and it's going to be something that's really difficult. It's not for me.
Exactly. And then we carry that through adulthood.
Yeah, we do.
And then we don't move, we become stagnant, we gain weight, we get depressed, it affects our self-esteem. All of that needs to be addressed, and that can't be fixed, Tara, just by giving someone a meal plan and an exercise plan. You're wasting your money and your time.
Yeah, definitely. And I like what you said about focusing on what you can't have, because if you focus on what you can't have or think about it, that's all you're wanting. I can't have this to eat, or I can't do that, and you get obsessed by it, don't you? And you just need it in your life after that.
Yeah, so we talk about having a well-being meal, okay? So a lot of us, a lot of people that we work with will eat for emotion and they feel guilty about it. And then because they're in that diet culture of sins and all this sort of stuff, they think they can't have that thing. If you look at food, it's got 2 purposes. Number one, it's there to fuel our body. But number two, it is there to enjoy. I love a bit of chocolate and cake and everything. So we talk about having well-being meals where, you know, you go out with your family, you enjoy the time that you have together. On a Saturday night, you do have some chocolate, whatever it is, you go out for cream tea, but you enjoy the experience of it. You're not a slave to that food. We class it as a well-being meal.
And you're not feeling guilty about having the fact that you've eaten it.
Exactly. Because if I was told I could go through my life without eating chocolate, that's just not going to happen.
We probably still wouldn't be married.
Yeah, I'm sure. My God. So what got you guys started in this industry? Because I know that, Laura, you came from the police and Barry, you were prison. Yeah?
That's correct, yeah.
So how did you get into the... Not in that prison. How did you get into the rock solid? What made you come up with it? Why did you change?
Well, for me, I've always been into health and fitness. Ever since I can remember, I was just sport mad, fitness mad. I remember watching the boxing on TV and I wanted to be like Frank Bruno with all the muscles and stuff like that. And ever since that day, I've been into exercise. So I thought, let's make a living out of this. So I trained up and I become a personal trainer in the local leisure centre. But the local leisure centre's paying £7,000 a year for my salary, and I was like, I can't even afford to bring in my car and buy a house. So a guy walked into the gym and I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm a prison officer and I'm a PTI in the prison service. And I said, what's that? He goes, I'm basically doing what you're doing in the prison service, and I'm earning 25 to 30 grand a year. I was like, give me some of that, please. Give me some of that. So I joined the prison service, but I had to spend 3 years walking the landings, looking after the welfare of all the prisoners. So I spent 3 years, but literally inside of me, I was burning up. I want to do my fitness. I want to get back in the gym. So I went away for 16 weeks at the National Sports Centre called Lilleshall, where I trained to become a PTI, physical training instructor in the prison service.
Okay.
And then after getting qualified in all the sports, pretty much, basketball, volleyball, hockey, anything you can think of, I've got a qualification in it now, which is fantastic from the prison service. And then I spent the next 7 years in the gymnasium teaching the prisoners to become personal trainers, fitness instructors, sports therapists. We brought massage into them.
Wow, that's so cool.
I was educating them to actually go back out into the community with a qualification so they can live law-abiding lives, it was so rewarding.
I bet it was,
but
yeah.
The government started cutting our staff members. So we started off working in the gym. There would be one prison officer, so myself, with up to about 10 to 15 prisoners. And just before I left, I was in the gymnasium with nearly 100 prisoners by myself.
Oh my
goodness. You can sense there was a little bit of like, oh, this doesn't feel safe anymore. There was more of a tick box situation with the management and the government than there was for the safety of our staff. So because we couldn't implement any rules or regulations because we just didn't have the staff power to implement it.
And nobody was gaining from that amount of people in. They wouldn't have learned as much from you, would they?
They weren't learning anything at all. It was just time out of themselves, getting rid of some frustration, getting rid of energy because we were taking them through workouts. And I wasn't fulfilling my role or my values in the prison service because I wasn't giving them the education. I wasn't changing their lives as effectively as I thought I could do.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about different avenues, and by this time, Laura's career in the police come to an end, but I'm sure she'll tell you about that in a minute. And I made the decision to jump ship and join Rock Solid with Loz, because Rock Solid started from Loz's journey, really. So that's where I got to with Rock Solid.
Cool. So what was your journey then, Laura?
So I spent 10 years in the police, and I joined up and everything was great. You know, my mission was to be able to help, you know, our community in a wider sense, really, to be honest with you. I had a career path set out. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be on section. Then I wanted to do TAC team, which is where you do public order and drug raids. I then wanted to join the firearms team. And then I wanted to retire being a dog handler. So I kind of had my 30-year career planned out, and that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I got a couple of years into being a police officer, did my training. I was out on the streets. So that's kind of like, regular uniformed officers that you see every day who would do an amazing job, going from lots of different calls, from sudden deaths to traffic to domestics to, shoplifters, 999 calls. And I started to feel unwell in myself, mentally and physically. I was having these weird occasions of breathlessness. I was having nightmares. I was bursting into tears. I felt sad. I was having arguments with Baz. We thought it was us. We went to Relate counselling. And I remember just standing at my locker, putting my stab vest on and just bursting into tears, thinking, oh my gosh, pull yourself together, woman. Do you know what I mean? What is going on? My sergeant pulled me in the office and he said to me, Loz, there's something not right. You've got to go to the doctors. I'm worried about you. And so I made an appointment for the doctors the next day, and I went and I explained to him, I said, look, I don't know what's going on. These are my symptoms. And he said these few words to me, which changed the course of my life forever. And he said to me, you have depression. And I argued with him. I went, no, you don't know me. I don't do depression. I'm happy-go-lucky. That's not what it is. And he went, yes, you've got depression. I'm signing you off work. Here's some tablets. Go home. And I was like,
wow.
Oh, okay. This is interesting. Things got a lot worse. My depression got worse. And then I would go through periods of being really happy and really elated and lots of energy and loads of ideas and not sleeping and being very loud, shall we say.
And spending loads of money.
And just feeling like I had so much power in the world. But then I would have another bout of depression and I would hurt myself and I would think about not being wanting to be here again and being signed off work. And this kept happening. I was referred to the mental health team. And in February 2009, which was 5 years later, I had a diagnosis from a psychiatrist with another few words that changed my life forever. And that was, you have bipolar and comorbid OCD. Here's some lithium. Here's some CBT. That's what's going on.
Why do they just give something to mask the symptoms and not the cause?
So it was crazy. So I went on a 32-week course and I learned about bipolar. I learned about my triggers. I, acknowledged, created awareness, made action plans, adjusted, which is actually our rock solid model now, actually. And I did all those things. And I had to really change my life. I had to tidy up my diet, I had to tidy up my sleep, the amount of water I was taking, all of the 6 pillars I spoke about in actual fact.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I couldn't do my duties as a police officer. I couldn't do the night shifts. I couldn't take the constant adrenaline rush. It was not good for my mental health, my hormones. So I managed to get a job, because you can move around units within the counter-terrorism intelligence unit. So I was working on the Al-Qaeda threat. Then I moved over to more domestic extremism, like animal rights and that kind of thing. But still, I just couldn't do the job. And I went to the force medical doctor in September 2012. And he then said to me another few words that changed the course of history forever for me. And he said, it's time. You either medically retire yourself or we do it for you. And I decided to make that decision that I was going to do it myself. So I said, no, I'm doing it. I'm going to medically retire myself. And he then said to me, right, that's it. You're not allowed back in work. So literally I'd gone from up to midday, had a full day's work, knowing what I was going to be doing, to nothing, go home, that's it.
That was quite abrupt.
Yes, very abrupt. And then it took them until the June 2013, the 2nd of June 2013, to medically retire me. So I was off. I had nothing to do. I had no purpose. A bit like lockdown. I was like in my house, nothing to do, nowhere to go, no goal, no nothing. And in
all
the
your
background,
plans that you've made have just been stopped.
absolutely. And I had just faced the biggest rejection of my life. As I said, I had my 30-year career out in front of me. 33 years old, medically retired, mental health. I couldn't see anybody giving me a job. I mean, come on.
Well, you would put it on your CV, would you? Really?
Really, no. So I didn't want to have those awkward conversations. So we knew what working on my health and fitness, sorting my exercise out, looking after myself. We knew how powerful that was for me. So we decided that's what we wanted to do for other people, to help look after their health. So on the 3rd of June, the very next day after my retirement papers, I'd handed in my warrant card. We started Rock Solid with 12 clients ready to go. We was doing their body transformations. And then it got to the September and we were like, right, what should we do? Should we make this a hobby, a side thing for me? Or should we go for it? And we decided we were going to go for it. And ever since then, it's been a non-stop roller coaster ride. We've been honoured and privileged to talk at, UK's biggest sports expo, Body Power. We've appeared on Channel 5's 5-star show, It's Your Fault I'm Fat. We've trained
It's Your Fault I'm Fat.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't really watch TV, so I've never heard of that before.
It's about teenagers who believe that it's their parents' fault that they're fat because they've overfed them or they've had a bad gluten or whatever it is. So we helped a family get into shape and stuff. So, we've authored a book. We've taught 5,000 children. It's been crazy, to be honest with you. So, yeah.
As I said, phenomenal and formidable, rock solid team. That's just crazy. My goodness. So what were your biggest, what were the hardest things you had to overcome when you first started your business?
For me, it was being told, not having somebody, a management level saying, Baz, this is your job for today. This is what I need you to do. This is where I need you to go. This is how I want it to be done. When you're running your own business and you are your own boss, it's like, you could do whatever you want to do. There's no real plan unless you put a plan in place. Yeah. So this is why it's so important for us to get our mission and our vision of what Rock Solid needs to be and where we want to go with it. So we've got direction. And that was very difficult in the first off because it was so easy to just go, what am I doing today? But you need that goal. You need that drive where you want to be, where you want to head to.
I think, definitely one of the things we struggle with was self-doubt. I went to college to study business. I don't know anything about accounts,
That is one of the hardest things, yeah.
I was like, I've got no idea. And then you start to look at other people and you start to compare yourself. And you go, oh, well, they're doing that and we're not doing that. But they're really successful. And this person's saying you can have a 6-figure business and all this sort of stuff. And you get sucked right into it. And I think that was one of the hardest things, to be honest with you, in terms of starting the business, was doing that really.
Yeah, when you do compare yourself to others, it could be your 6 months journey and it could be somebody else's 5 years, but you don't see that. You just see their success and you're like, oh my God, why are they doing so well and I'm not?
Well, in 2017, we actually nearly lost the business because of that, because I was on this mission that I wasn't successful enough. Wasn't successful and I was comparing myself, weren't we, to everybody else.
Yeah.
And I was burning the candle at both ends and I wasn't looking after myself. I fully admit that. And then all of a sudden, bam, overnight I had one of the biggest breakdowns that I suffered since leaving the police, and it was all because I was comparing myself to so many other people and chasing something that I hadn't even defined. Do you know what I mean, with success?
Yeah. So you work a lot with children as well. How do you do that? Is that through your coaching or is that through schools?
Well,
we don't do it. We don't do that no more.
Yeah, I don't do it anymore. It's a project that we did.
Okay.
Basically, I have a habit of opening my mouth, suggesting.
One of our coaches gave us a challenge, and it was to make an impact within the local community. So we was looking around, what can we do, and we were seeing that the grassroots of health and well-being wasn't getting tackled. It wasn't being educated there. So we thought, let's give it a go and go into the local community. So we needed something to take into the community to make this impact. So me and Loz, we got our heads together and we wrote a children's book, and it's called The Amazing Adventure of the Good Food Gang. And we focused it all around where food comes from and how it affects our body. And we focused on the banana, because banana's great and kids got involved with it.
Yeah.
So we took this book to every primary school within our local area, Shepway Council area, and we taught 5,040 children about where food comes from and how it affects our kids. So that was our sort of our journey into teaching children about food and well-being.
Yeah, we connected with the local sports trust because, primarily Barry and I had just seen that there was an issue within the schools and what the government was stipulating in teaching them. We all know childhood obesity is on the rise and what a strain that's going to cause on the NHS further down the line.
Yeah.
And schools were not teaching this stuff. The metrics are English, science, maths. There's nothing about entrepreneurship. There's nothing about, mental health. There's nothing about food. And so we had a little mission, a little project that we wanted to help our local community to be able to raise that awareness. And that's kind of where that came from. We went in, there was me and Barry, we employed somebody else to come and deliver the classes. And it was great fun. But yeah, that was a project that was part of the Rock Solid history, shall we say.
That's really cool. So do you have any tips on how to get started on a healthier journey?
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing is acknowledging where you are at the moment. Acknowledge where you are, what's going on around you, and acknowledge where you want to go with this. Whether it is weight loss, whether it's getting healthier, whether it's getting fitter, whatever it is. We need to create this acknowledgement that, I am here and I need to do something about where I want to be. And then it's creating awareness around that.
I think the big thing for me is very much looking at what your beliefs and values are. Are you in the diet culture? Was your mum, your gran, your pet goldfish, have they all
everybody, yeah.
Exactly. And I want people to start questioning that. If I'm stopping and starting, why am I stopping and starting? What am I chasing? Am I chasing a number? Am I even starting to go, I want to do this diet, but then I'm like, and it just makes you feel rubbish. Right? So first of all, that's the first thing, is to acknowledge that. And then maybe start to look at, what is it I really want? Write it all down, because I think what you'll find at the very end of that is that I want to be happier, I want to be healthier, and I want to put years on my life. Now, if you'll start on a diet, that's never going to happen.
No.
So what I would recommend is that you start to look at health and look at well-being. Ditch the diet, look at well-being and start to investigate that. Look at your sleep. Are you getting good quality sleep? Because trust me, Tara, we get people that come and join us, they get their sleep sorted for a week and they're already losing weight.
Yeah, right? It is actually quite a big thing, isn't it?
Huge. There are health foundations, right? I don't know anybody that's had a crappy night's sleep and they go, I feel so great, I'm going to eat healthy and exercise. It just doesn't happen. So I would say definitely start with your sleep, then look at your water intake. Up that, because even just getting those two nailed, you're going to be in a better position to make other decisions.
Yeah, well, the water's flushing all the toxins out of your body anyway, isn't it? So that's great.
Yeah, and water's also a conduit for all the nutrition around your body. It carries everything around our body as well. Then look at your nutrition and just start swapping a few things out. Don't go, right, that's it, tomorrow I'm going vegan.
Clear the cupboard out.
Exactly. It's like, okay, start with your breakfast. Have a good breakfast for 7 days of the week. Great. Then now your lunch. Then now your dinner. don't think you've got to do it all in one day or 1 week. You didn't get where you are then. It's going to take a process. And Baz and I are quite proud in saying, yeah, you might be with us for 2 years, right? Because we're okay with saying that. Yes, we do have programs which are 90 days and stuff, but that's why we have the coaching community to keep it going. You know, because these things take time.
It's all about mastering your health.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, you cannot master something by doing something once or doing a plan for a set period of time. Mastery, if you go back to the martial arts and being a master at your art, is something where you practice the fundamentals every single day. And the best way of doing that is in a family. That's why all the martial artists, they stay together in their family so they can practice these fundamentals day in, day out. And then when you practice a fundamental day in, day out, you start doing it without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
It becomes part of your lifestyle. It becomes part of who you are.
Yeah, I mean, the professional athletes, basketball players, they can shoot from miles away, but they don't just do it once. They do it every single day, continuously, even though they know they can do it. Because if they stop, they slip back, don't they?
I don't know whether you've seen the program, The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. He would be the first person in that basketball court, and he would be the last person to leave that basketball court every single day to become the master of basketball.
But also, if you look, they don't just eat and train. They do rehab. They look after their sleep. Yes, they take supplements. They drink the water. Yeah. They do the meditation. They do the visualization. They don't just go, oh, I'm going to eat, like this amount of calories and train.
Train for an hour.
Exactly. It's their life.
It's a lifestyle change.
Yeah, and that's what we want people to do. We want them to see it as their life. Take it on as part of their DNA.
Yeah, because once it's, like you say, if it's gradual and it becomes more of a habit, and they're not focusing on the diet, they're focusing on their health. It's a whole different mindset, isn't it? They're not worried about what they're eating. They're worried about taking care of their body and giving it proper nutrients and fueling it properly.
I always say to our guys, we don't run on calories, we run on nutrients. It's our body that it craves nutrition value food, not just calories.
Yeah.
No, I can tell the difference if I've eaten pizza or if I've eaten a healthy vegetable food. My body just feels completely different. I have much more energy and I don't feel sluggish, and it's different. Yeah, that's great. So how can my listeners get in touch with you and find out more if they want to?
So we are on Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook, we're Rock Solid Healthy. On Instagram, we are Rock Solid UK. We have our website, which is rocksolid4life.com. And then, or you can just email us. Barry and I are very open to having a chat with people because, sometimes we're not for you. Sometimes you might need to go and see somebody else. Do you know what I mean? So I'd rather have a conversation with somebody. Our email address, Laura Ash or Barry Ash at rocksolid4life.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. And what are you going to do for the rest of the day? Any exciting plans?
Oh, we have got a productive day. We've got about 4 hours of coaching calls today, mastermind. So it's a good day because we get to connect with our guys, which is something that we always enjoy doing.
Fabulous. Well, I hope you have a great day, you guys.
Thank you for having us on.
You're welcome. Thanks so much. I'll speak to you later.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Wow, wasn't that amazing? It was so good talking to Barry and Laura. And I think it's so important to realize that sometimes the universe just gives you a sign to make you stop and think about what's happening. As Laura said, she had her 30-year life planned out, mapped out for the police force. And she didn't know what she was going to do when she couldn't do that anymore. But that was a wake-up call that she needed to hear to set her off on this new path where she's helped so many other people create a better quality of life, which maybe she wouldn't have done if she'd have stayed on the life path that she thought she was going to be on. And sometimes that can be quite difficult and very scary because we have these ideas in our heads about what we want to do, where we want to go, who we want to be. And if something happens to upset that, maybe you get made redundant, you have ill health, mental health, your circumstances change, you're not in the same relationship, or something happens to completely change the path of your life. And often that path, the new path, is the one that was destined for you, the one that will fulfill you so much more and give you so much more energy and love and life, which is what we're all here to have. We're all here to be happy. We're all here to be loved, and we're all here to have this amazing experience, because we don't get to live this over again. Next time will be a different experience. So sometimes we have to have these wake-up calls that teach us something new, and that's fantastic. And I'm so happy that happened for Laura at that period in her life, even though it was very uncomfortable at the time. She's made such an amazing life with Barry come out of something that seemed so terrible. So thanks again for listening. I really appreciate you being here. If you want to subscribe, rate or review this show, I would so much appreciate it. I had a review from Andy Pandy Tim that I wanted to share with you. So this reviewer said that the podcast was very helpful towards their goals of becoming a better, happier version of themselves, which is exactly what the whole aim of this show is. Andy Pandy Tim also said that I had a very calm and soothing voice, which is quite flattering. I'd love to hear your reviews on this show. I read every single one myself, so I can always keep improving and learning how to serve you better. And if you want to get in contact, don't forget, pop through to my website, tarachatzakis.com/happy, inspired, motivated, and maybe see how I could work with you better to help you even more than through this podcast. So I hope you have a great day, and remember that the signs sometimes may be uncomfortable, but they're for a better purpose. So until next week, take care, and I'll speak to you then. Thank you for listening to the Happy, Inspired, Motivated podcast. I'll be back next week bringing more meditation, mindset, and motivation for your happy and successful life. To find out more about our community, go to tarachatzakis.com/happy, inspired, motivated.